Okay, question 4. So 20 students were asked how many minutes they spent watching television on a particular day, and the following frequency distribution summarises their replies. So the first part of the question asks us to estimate the mean time spent watching television. So the mean time spent watching television. So for this example, we can work this out manually for finding the mean. And to do that, we have to take our mid-interval values. Okay, so we can't work out the mean just using 0 to 40. We have to work out that mid-interval value. And to do that, we can do 0 plus 40 divided by 2, and that gives us 20. If we do the same thing for 40 plus 60 divided by 2, that would be 50. Here we would get 70. For the next bit, we can get 90. And lastly, we will have 110. And these are our mid-interval values. Then in working out the mean, we take each of those mid-interval values in turn and multiply them by the frequency with which they appeared. So again, we're using these mid-interval values because we can't just take a full kind of group interval, because that wouldn't actually give us an accurate answer. And again, we just continue tidying this up a little bit as we go, making sure that we're including everything and that we're just making sure that our sums, I suppose, are working out as accurately as we possibly can. Okay, showing this much work is always good as well, just to give you more chance to pick up marks as you go along. All over 20, because that was the total number of students in the class. If we add up that top line, we should get a total of 1,400. It's divided by 20, and that will give us 70. Okay, so 70 is the mean time, the mean number of minutes that was spent watching television. And seems about right. That does sound around about right. In what interval does the median value lie? So we work out what the middle value is. That's 20 plus 1. So a half of 21. Okay, and a half of 21 is going to be 10.5, which is going to signal to us we're thinking 10th and 11th value. So we go through our frequencies. We see that 0 to 40 has 2 people, 40 to 60 is 6, which brings us to a total of 8. And then 60 to 80 has an additional 5, which will bring us to a total of 13. So that says to us that the median interval is going to be in that 60 to 80 mark. Interestingly, that's also where our mean came from. That's 70, that value of 70 would fall in that same bracket. The next part asks us to estimate the standard deviation from the mean. So this question is going to require us to go to our calculator and do some calculator work. So again, in the first column of your table, you're inputting your mid-interval values, because again, we cannot input those class intervals. And then on the right-hand side, we have to account for the frequencies. So the frequencies that we have there. So we account for our frequencies. And by doing that, we get a standard deviation of 27.386 approximately. And we can also use this as an opportunity to check our mean, and we can see that the mean does indeed work out to be 70 like we had there. The last part then asks us, what is the maximum number of people who could have watched television for less than an hour and a half? So less than an hour and a half. So we have to just, first of all, establish for ourselves an hour and a half is going to be 90 minutes. On our table, 90 minutes would fall within the 80 to 100 bracket. We are being asked the maximum number of people who could have watched TV for less than that time. So in order to make that value a maximum, the most people it could be, we are going to assume that everybody in the 80 to 100 bracket watched less than an hour and a half, that all of those values are actually below 90. So in that case, we can add up the 2 plus the 6 plus the 5 plus the 3. And if we do that, we should get 16 people. And that's your total answer then, 16. Okay, and that is the end of question 4 then.